This is a Hot Pie Media original.
Welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. I'm your host, Amy Edwards, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. We have a great episode today, very heartfelt, real, open, vulnerable. It's the real, because that's what we're here for. We're here to up-level our lives through being our most open-hearted, amazing, vulnerable, shining selves. And when we get really real, that's when we connect. It's those open times. So that's what I'm here for today. And I'm excited to bring you that. Plus, I have an exciting habit that I have incorporated into my life that I am noticing major changes from. So I'm stoked to share that with you today. And then we'll have an affirmation at the end. Before we get to all that, if you can make a note to like and rate, review, follow the podcast, share it with a friend. It all super matters and makes a huge difference as we grow. And I just want to say a big thank you to you. I'm so grateful to be sitting right here and to be connecting with you and that you're here. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And thank you to everybody here at Hot Pie as well. So I'm stoked to get to the episode today. Let's get to it. Again, we've got Wren on, and it's going to be really powerful. I'm excited about it. So let's get to it. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, professional, online, secure therapy from licensed therapists. So they are ready to assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. And guess what? I have started using BetterHelp. I need it right now. There's so much self-work that we can do, but there's also really good work that can be done with a licensed therapist. So I had my first session last week, and I thought it was really, really great. I have another one this afternoon, and I'm really looking forward to it. She gave me some good concrete practices too, because I like that I can use. And so you fill out a questionnaire, and it really helps direct you to people that fit what you're looking for. And they have a wide range of expertise for anything that you probably can't even find, in some towns for sure. Right? If you need something very specific, they have people that specialize in everything, and they're available worldwide. So you can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. And the therapists are very clear about when they get back to you and what you can expect. It's really well done as far as their communication, which I so appreciate. You get timely and thoughtful responses. You can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. And, you don't have the drive time. You don't have the downtime, the waiting time. Really, really nice because it's done from the comfort of your own home, which I really liked. And the connection online for our video call was very clear and very easy. So it's really nice. So they're committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches. So if you don't connect with somebody, that's okay. They're like, switch it. And I already have switched once. I never even met that first guy, but it just didn't feel right. So I switched, and it was super easy. And it was kind of fun actually, because I got to look through all these different people and be like, ooh, which one speaks to my heart, Also, you're wondering about cost too. Well, I have a discount code coming at the end of this ad, so stick around for that. It is more affordable though than traditional offline therapy, and they have financial aid available. They have a question in your intake form that says, what can you afford? And they have financial aid if you need it, because BetterHelp wants you to start living happier today. Check out their website. They have a ton of reviews. It's BetterHelp, HELP.com/reviews for that. And you can go to betterhelp.com/AES for Amy Edwards Show and get 10% off your first month and find out why over 1 million people have taken charge of their mental health with BetterHelp. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/AES for 10% off. Hi, and welcome to the episode. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so I said I have a practical tip, and I do today, something that is like I'm super into. So Justin's on today, and as we were figuring things out before he went to treatment, because we've been in this weird interim period before he goes to treatment, because he's leaving tonight. And so it's been really strange, and my body rebelled in different ways too. Like I had so much anger, so many different feelings, and I've just been figuring this out. And I just feel like we get into it in the conversation. I just feel like I haven't been able to breathe. And it's funny that I say the word breathe too. And so I never snore. And so I think my body started rebelling because as soon as he came back and we got in bed, I started snoring. And I don't know if it was stress. I don't know what it was. My body was just going kind of haywire too in some other ways. And anyway, I was like, oh my God, I snored like 3 nights in a row. And I was like, and he was like, you're snoring. I had to leave the room. And I'm like, maybe my body's like, get to treatment. And so I have these mouth tape strips that I ordered because Bijou talks about it. If you missed my podcast with her, I don't think we talked about it on there, but it's one of her habits is mouth taping. It's a thing right now. And there is a book by James Nestor called Breath, and it is fascinating. And he talks basically the whole book is making a huge case for nose breathing. It strengthens the back of our palate. It stops snoring. It strengthens our jawline, and it does all sorts of good things to our body and like our nervous system. And it makes us smarter, makes us able to think more clearly. Like when you hear a mouth breather, like apparently that's a real thing and it's really not good for our health. So he says that we can tape our mouth closed, and he does this. He even does it when he's exercising, things like that, which is wild, right? That's next level for me. But anyway, I was like, well, let's just try taping my mouth closed with these. I bought these Somnifix is the brand, Somnifix strips, and you can get them on Amazon. And I hadn't had any luck with them when I ordered them, which was months ago because Bijou told me I needed to do it. And I started listening to the book and I was like, I can't keep it on. I kept pulling it off at night. And I tried to cut it smaller. That didn't work either. I would like drool then and it would just slide off. And I wear a night guard too. Let me just add that. So I'm wearing my night guard. And I put it on, and the first night it was a little uncomfortable. I am over a week in now. Oh my God. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept. And I keep it on all night. I'm fine with it. There's a tiny little hole in the middle if you have to like breathe out of your mouth or if you have to talk. Like now we've both been doing it. And so like you get it on, you make do. It's kind of a commitment. Like you're like, I guess I am going to go to sleep now. I can't talk. And so anyway, one thing that I also noticed is as a singer, I still take voice lessons every single week. Yesterday I had a voice lesson and she was like, everything is superb. Why is everything sounding so easy? And I said, you know what? I've been taping my mouth closed. It's supposed to strengthen my back palate. And that's where we sing from. And she said, that could absolutely be it. So if you want a stronger voice, and as I'm laughing, I feel more relaxed and it feels easier. I feel more awake during the day. I'm not fading out. It's wild, you guys. So that is my practical tip for a better life and to have better sleep, which I'm a sleep freak. So start mouth taping. And I do recommend those Somnifix strips. And to take it off, because I don't want to stretch out my skin, I just rinse it with water and I start peeling it with water. And as soon as it gets wet, it just slides right off. So that is what I've been doing. So that is my practical tip. All right. So let's look ahead to today's episode and the talk today with Justin. And if you have any questions for me, I would encourage you to reach out. Please do. Ask me on social media. Ask me at amy@amyedwards.com. Ask me anything. So I've been talking the last few weeks about self-trust, about anger, and now today, just all this cavalcade of wide-ranging emotions that have hit me going through my partner's relapse, addiction, and now treatment. And so I felt like I was just kind of losing myself and coping. I'm not immune to these things, right? And so, and I would say relationships have been a big part of my learning process because I'm divorced twice, which I never dreamed would be my road in life. My parents were not divorced. They were together 40 something years. And so I didn't know, that Like I never imagined myself getting divorced, and here I am. So relationships have been a big thing for me to work on, and really my own relationship with myself. And I just felt like I was losing that. And I felt like my boundaries have all been crossed, even sexually, like doing things when I didn't really want to, or, you just feel like, oh, okay, but I'm not really honoring myself. And so this time coming up is a big recalibration for me to get back in touch with myself. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're getting lost, and it can be anything, it can be motherhood, which is a big one, right? It can be a relationship. It can be dealing with, someone who has an addiction. There's so many ways we can lose ourselves and start leaning into codependent behaviors. So can you give yourself time to recalibrate? And I haven't been able to since he's still been here. Sometimes that person is still ongoing in your life. How do you manage that? And the last few days, I couldn't wait any longer. I was like, I have to start now. I have to start because since we've been together, it's been a year since we recorded our first episode, and I just haven't really been exercising. Basically, some of my habits around taking care of myself, eating right, and working out, namely, fell off because I had someone else in my life with a different schedule, and I didn't honor my own schedule. I didn't make it work for myself. And now, I've gained, I've lost a few now since I've jumped back in, but I've gained almost 30 pounds. And I noticed that I was eating to cope as we went through this. As like I was angry that time that we talk about today, when I was going through this anger, I was just eating to cope, eating because it gives me something to do and I don't have to deal with anything else. Ugh. So anyway, these are big journeys for me, and I'm giving myself the time and space. And I want to encourage you to also, if you find something in your life, just check in with yourself, because it can be really, really, what's the word? Not debilitating exactly. Maybe it just can be really, really tough when you're having to deal with all this and want that time so bad for yourself to recalibrate. So I'm just making that time. Granted, he's going to treatment, so maybe life is giving it to me. Be careful what you wish for. Did I wish for it? Kinda. I didn't wish for him to go to treatment or relapse, but I did wish for I need to reset, And so I'm getting it. And anyway, I'm going to share my process and my journey here, of course, and any work that I do right now. What does it look like? Looks like taking it step by step, because he's still been here. So it looks like, just being kinder on myself, eating cleaner, paying attention to my needs and when I want something and what does it really mean. Journaling, meditation, sleep, good sleep, going for a short walk, going for a long walk. That's what it looks like right now. And it looks like getting into practices of affirmations, breath work. I do just some 10-minute breath work every day. And it just takes a little discipline to build back into these habits that I know are so valuable. And hydration. It looks like hydration. It looks like drinking a lot of water. It looks like cutting out cacao every morning, which I was doing, that's not a good practice. So it's like drinking just straight pure chocolate. So, just green tea, just simple things that you can do. So anyway, that's my message to you today. And we are going to get more into what happened between the two of us. Justin going back to treatment, since the first episode of this show was when he shared his story the first time of going to treatment. So interesting how things go, right? So, and I'm going to share about how this has been for me, and then how we have treated each other through the process, and that there is hope to rebuild trust. And, it still all remains to be seen, but all we can do is just keep showing up and trying and just being better next time, right? Myself totally. I'm speaking about myself. So, so let's get to today's interview / conversation with Justin Wren. Of course, you can find Justin at The Big Pygmy, but he's on hiatus right now as he is in treatment, but also the Overcome podcast, which is here on Hot Pie Media. And there are lots of episodes still going on there that you can listen to. So let's get to today's episode with Justin Wren. Get yourself cleansed. Do you need it? No.
Yeah, need to get clean. That is what this episode is about, right, babe?
Sort of, mostly. It's about me getting clean
cleansing.
too. Me getting clean too. Because I have to dive into my own healing. And that's kind of
both do.
We
I
both
think each
do.
and every person does, but it's okay to do that math right off the bat.
I guess so. I was just going to say too, it just made me think of, it's easy to place blame to, look only at the other person.
Yeah.
When there's a serious issue like this, like you did this and you did this, but,
Sure.
I tend to really, I want to look at myself, but not in like that unhealthy way where you're like, what did I do to deserve this? Or what, I want to look at what I've called into my life and, understand my own patterns. Because I definitely have patterns.
Well, you're saying that, and most of the patterns that I see are all just super positive. 99.9% of them, to me, my perspective is you're incredible.
Chris Jagger out there.
Yeah, Chris Jagger's
Chris
in
Jagger's
studio.
speaking it.
And that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there's roles both play, but whenever it comes to something as serious as this, which we all have serious stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to know that there is another level of severity to my actions or to this addiction that I struggle with, to substance abuse. And so, I am going to treatment today. Today. And I'm not going kicking and screaming. So that's good. The first time I didn't go kicking and screaming, but it was hard to go. It was really hard.
Why? What was so hard about it?
Well, I think I've got a new perspective this time. And I think what's important about that is the first time I went, I was in a bad place.
You were. Well, you were still
after-
getting high right up to the day that you left, right? Weren't you?
Yeah. And it took me 3 attempts, I think, to actually get there.
Oof.
Yeah. Because I think with my roles and responsibilities at Fight for the Forgotten, I got so scared. I knew I needed to go. And the day I was supposed to go, I just was like, I don't know if I can do this. I felt like the addiction was a stranglehold. In fighting, it's called a rear naked choke or a guillotine. I know it's a funny name.
I know the guillotine. You've done that to me.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I
You've
showed
shown it to me.
Yes, I didn't. I did not do that to you.
No, I'd probably be dead.
Yeah,
if
you wouldn't
had.
be here unless there was a ref. So what I think is it felt like a guillotine was thrown on and sunk in deep, and like my hands, like I didn't have arms, like I couldn't hand fight. If someone starts putting a stranglehold on you, first thing you do is you control their hands. You tuck your chin.
Oh, well, that's good intel.
Yeah.
Okay.
You tuck your chin to where they can't get to your neck, and
sure.
And then you fight the hands.
I think that's instinct.
It felt like I didn't have hands. I didn't have arms, or that the way that he threw in the guillotine, he wrapped his legs around my arms, and I couldn't pull them up to fight the hands. And so I was sinking. I was being strangled. The air felt like the walls were closing in on me. That the blood was leaving my head, and that the kind of that peripheral vision was disappearing, and it was a tunnel vision of like all I could see was, you're not going to escape this. I've got you this time. Whatever that demon of addiction or that darkness is, it was like it had me in a corner. It had me on the ground. It had beaten me to a pulp. There was nothing I could do about it, and it had that stranglehold on me, and I just felt like, well, I'm going to die from this. I don't know why it was those substances or that control and not being in a clear mind, but I took off to Mexico, and it was during COVID.
Right.
And I got trapped down there. There was no more flights coming back.
Right.
And so after the suicide attempt, I came back and I was determined I was going to go. On my drive down, because I had been in Mexico, I had to quarantine longer, and their medical director had required me having to get every type of COVID test there was. I think it was 3, not just one, but like all 3 types there were.
Yeah, because this was like April of 2020.
Yeah.
So it was the height of
it was the height
all
of it.
that.
Yeah. April, May. I mean, whenever you'd go in, every client that was in treatment had to wear a mask the entire time. We had to be 6 foot apart. The only time we could take it off, we had to wear it working out. The only time we could take it off is like take each bite. And then when we're in bed, in shower. Right. And so they were just being extra cautious because at a treatment center, it's not a hospital. So it's not like they're taking COVID patients. If one person gets it, everybody's got to quarantine. Like it's shut down.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
They quarantine that one person, but now it's risking everything.
Right.
So I was headed down and they told me I have to get this new treatment. I called my friend David Sinclair, who wrote Lifespan, incredible Harvard professor. And he said, bro, there's one of these tests that is unaccounted for that I could send to you. It's got your name on it. And like times like these are hard to come by. I'm drop shipping it, like overnighting it there so you can be there. I was like, thank you so much. So I called him, said, I'm coming. We've got that test. I can take it right when I get there. And they said, great. When was the last time you used? And I was like, oh, well, I've been in quarantine for 18 days. I was like, I've been sober for more than 2 weeks. I'm like, oh. And the intake person, I'm like, isn't that good? And he goes, well, yeah, it's okay. Get here. You're just going to be cash pay now. And I was like, what do you mean? Your insurance company won't cover it if you haven't used within the last 5 days.
Oh my God.
I was like,
that is so fucked up.
I was like, but I just attempted suicide. I almost died of overdose. Like, can't you take me? Not if you haven't used in the last 5 days. We can take you.
Just lie?
That's what I said. And he goes, well, you already let us know.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, and I'm literally driving from Oklahoma City down to Texas.
You're like, I'm picking up a
bag
of weed right now.
I guess I know how to fix this. And he goes, so we're not going to see you tonight? And I was like,
oh my God.
And I go, well, at first I'd asked him how much cash pay was. It was like over $800 a day.
Yeah.
It was $860 per day. I actually still have some debt from it and things, right? And so it was a big sacrifice to do that. But I went and I stopped and I found a fishing guide at Lake Texoma. I wanted to clear my head. I love to go fishing. And I was like, well, maybe if I just drink a 6-pack on the boat, or maybe if I just have some weed or something, then I can go straight down. Anyways, for an addict, you can't just have a little bit.
As we know.
And yeah, as you know.
As we now know.
Yeah, as we now know. And you can't stay stopped. So my thing of like going fishing, sleeping one night, going the next day turned into like another 10 days of using.
Yeah.
Another 10 days of using. And I could not physically get myself to Dallas or to Texas.
Yeah.
I couldn't get myself there. I was on the border and I was like in such a bad way. Literally, I think I was on the brink of like another like near death like thing, right? I had almost killed myself like, 3 weeks before. And now I'm fighting for my life again. And I remember I just had to drive back to Oklahoma City and just plead for help for someone to drive me down. And that was someone from Alcoholics Anonymous, a program, a good friend of mine, and a guy that was sponsoring me at that time, who's an incredible man, but he just snatched me up, drove me down. And I'd used in the last 5 days, and insurance covered it, but they did not cover the 90 days. So I was committed to go to 90 days. That's why I said up front, I'm going to do it all. Whatever you guys got, I'm doing everything. I was one of 2 guys to do the 90 days, but guess what? During it, they came back to me and said, hey, we got to talk. I'm like, okay, what's up? And they're like, your insurance isn't going to cover 90 days. I'm like, but that's what I need. And they said, if you use the last 5 days, like go. And so I went, and they ended up not covering a lot. And so I was stuck with tens of thousands of dollars of debt.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I feel like going into it though, being beaten down so much by it. And obviously, I mean, I don't want to wear this quote out. I shared it on my show, but if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging.
Well, I said that to you.
You said that to me. That's right.
Yeah.
I heard a quote from
from me,
from the mightiest, most powerful, badass person I know. The one that I love the most. The person that's the best person ever happened to me.
That's very
I love you, darling.
I love you too.
Thank you for supporting me through this. And we're going to get into it. But the thing that I was saying about that was, I had this mind frame as a fighter, I think, that I have to attack what's been attacking me. I have to beat this out of me. I have to,
like a fighter mentality.
I have to cut it out and remove it.
Yeah.
Just like an opponent in a cage that he's going to pummel me if I don't pummel him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got to beat this thing. And so I went in, and I think it took me a long time to get around to actually wanting help, because maybe self-pity or sulking or just feeling like, you know, looking around and seeing some really successful people, but seeing some people that, you know, have gone through hard times. And I think in our minds, I try my best really not to do this. I love people no matter where they've come from. But whenever you go into a place and here's a guy coming off the street, here's a guy coming out of prison, here's a guy that hurt some people, here's a guy that, you know, you're like, am I like these guys? And you might try to distance yourself from it in your mind or something. It just took me a while to say, you know what, get this. And so I was one of two guys that stayed the 90 days. It was like this borderline abusive,
Sure.
treatment thing. And it was maybe what I needed at that time. I chose that place.
Yeah.
My board of directors have looked at some other places like, that one's like a green smoothie, coddle you. I don't want that. This place, they're going to speak to me like I really need it. And so anyways, going into this one, I feel like a massive shift has changed. We just had meditation earlier today, and I was tearing up in it. I did a solo cast last night. They'll come on my show later. And I feel like it's time to go to war, but instead of against myself, it's going to war for myself. Not against myself, but for myself, on behalf of me. And to like, almost like a self-love with or a spear, with love at the tip of the spear.
Mm-hmm.
Love is at the tip of the spear, and I've got to puncture and pierce with love whatever it is that's so wounded that hopefully maybe it's even a gentle touch of
this
love.
Metaphor is just
spirit.
evolving.
It's evolving. I know. It's crazy. I'm trying to talk too much. Let's get into it. Let's.
No, but I mean, you know, I picked up when you said supporting you through this. I mean, like for me, that's been a very challenging situation, you know, because I've been trying to like I talk about on this show all the time. I'm talking about, you know, our boundaries. I'm talking about emotions. I'm talking about being our best selves. And it was really, really challenging for me to figure out how to support me and then do what's right in this situation.
Yeah.
And the best thing by you, because I know that I have enabling codependency tendencies. And so what did I do? I mean, like let's see. I tried to talk to you, but then as I said, let's see, in the last couple episodes, I've talked about anger and I've talked about self-trust. And I really went into my own self-trust on this, you know, when I knew what was going on and yet didn't know. And so once I committed to that, I was really shown things that I needed to see. And then I got angry.
Yeah.
And I don't think I dealt with that so constructively at first because I got really, really angry.
Yeah. But I think I even remember telling you in that moment, even though I wasn't in a clear state of mind.
Yeah.
I wasn't clean. I was like, hey, it's valid.
Yeah, you did.
It's
you
valid.
did. You just stood there.
Yeah.
And you did seem to understand.
Yeah. Well, I think
It was very dramatic.
I think I told you later that I think it was a healthy angry, that I know that I needed to see it. It was at least healthy for me. And maybe, I don't really remember all of it. So, it's
for the best.
Hazy. Okay. Okay. But Amy, from the first treatment, I did learn a lot, and now I just have to apply it, and I have to get head knowledge and heart knowledge is two different things, right? Like I need it to sink from the head deep into my heart and soul, and I need to know logically when things are happening and things are progressing and things are creeping up or cropping up in my life that, maybe I need to cut it off here.
That goes across the board for anything. Yeah. So many times we know all these tools that we should do, or could do, but how do you get them to seep into your heart? How do you actually put them into action?
Yeah.
So many times we just, because like you know all of that. And even anybody listening, if you're struggling with anything, we know all these things we're told to do or should do.
I wanted to take a picture yesterday, actually, working out on it, because there was a quote that I'd never seen there. And I normally try to read all the quotes and everything else. And it basically said, mankind forms their tools, and then the tools form the man. And it was something along that line where we make these tools, but then if we use them correctly, it will form us, right? And but bigger metaphor than that, I don't know the quote, but anyways, it was.
No, but it makes sense. Like if you're thinking of like a workout machine or something,
Right. Yeah. We made it, but then now it will literally chisel us, right?
Yeah.
So now with these tools, I need to chisel away at some of these toxic cycles, these other things. And then what I meant by what I learned is, you talked about codependent other habits. I'm not trying to coddle and make things. It's good that you're self-aware that there's some of these tendencies, but I'm really grateful that you are who you are, because it's given me an invitation to become better. And even the hard part of you saying, you're doing this or this isn't here, and I'm moving on. And
I've worked too hard. And all the stuff I talk about on this show, I've worked too hard on myself
for sure
to allow it. And it was
you're too
dimming my shine.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to have a keychain that said, "Don't dull my sparkle, asshole." It broke.
We need to get you a new one.
I really do. I do.
And I can.
And then, it's true. It's like you can for so long be like, no, I maintain my vibe. I keep doing what I need to do. But if it's really, really close to you, we can fall into habits and patterns that are not healthy. And I know I was. And I mean, for instance, I've gained at least 25 pounds, so, and I'm pretty sure I was stress eating, because during this, I was like eating bags of chips, and I was like, wait, maybe these two things are connected.
For sure. And I want to say I'm sorry and apologize about it. And I am, but I think I'm going to get some new tools where.
Thank you, honey.
Whenever you're welcome. But at the same time, if I'm being really real and honest, I think that you can wear out sorries easily and quickly. And so people or you don't want to hear me say sorry. You want to see that I am.
I have to.
You want me to show you.
Yeah. I've heard too many promises now, which I think anybody that's dealt with an addict, an addict in their life has had that happen.
Yeah.
And this interim time before you go tonight, from the time that I got so angry, has been very weird, really. It's been good, but I feel like I just want people to know, honestly, that it's been a challenging time.
Yeah.
Because
There's been some really good things.
Anger flare-ups.
Yeah, sure.
They're having good things.
There have been some really good things.
We've dealt with it well.
That's what's weird about it, is that there's been some really good things, but there's been some hard things. Like, for instance, I was supposed to be there yesterday. Yeah. And the beds were full. This is a good place, so it's very busy, and there's a wait list. And so today there's several beds opening up, so there's no excuse that I can't be there. But that moment, I remember brought something up for you. I was on the phone with her coming home and I was coming to get my bag to go. And all of a sudden I got a call and it's like, hey, there's not a bed. And, but please like stay sober and communicate with me. Can I do anything to support you in the interim? How many days do you have? I'm like, I've been sober, I think 9 days.
That's probably a really hard part of it. Cause I have wondered, I'm like, well, there's a distinct possibility that he'll start using again.
Well, that's what happened I dipped out to Mexico. I dipped out to Lake Texoma and then I finally made it there.
I know.
And so I'm I talked with my friend and Dr. Amen and he said, you've grown. This is, it's not linear progress. You've grown. You didn't set back and you haven't disappeared. You have 10 days sober.
And honestly, I've grown too, because I didn't like watchdog the shit out of that. Yeah. I didn't like oversee it. I had to just sort of let go because it was too much for me. Yeah.
Well, I think a good thing, although it's been really, really hard, is that I recognized and you recognized a boundary that this isn't on you, it's on me. And I have support in other places. Like if someone is struggling with addiction and they do have some resources of people that have gotten better, have gotten well, and they have gone to therapy or sober living or treatment, they have people that know this very intimately, that have either gone through it or have supported people through it. And I knew I could go ask them for help. But I think that just going back to that moment of yesterday, I remember we had a great day. I was about to go off and then I find out, no, I'm not. And I'm asking her, can you please text me that? Can you please send me that? Because I got to show not just you, Amy, but so many, not so many people, but several people like, hey, I'm trying to openly communicate with everybody. Be honest. I haven't used today. I'm not going to use today. That's the plan at least. And check it, like that's the plan.
Well, I had to just make it clear that it's not going to be in the house anymore. I think you got clear on that too, because like the kids, like it's just not, that's a no-go, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so when you came back after I got mad, then you were gone for a couple of days. And then when you came back, I was like, as long as you're sober, we can have a conversation. And that's when I was like, I proposed treatment to you, which was the only thing I had. And you said, yes. And so I just wanted to tell people too, like, it was really a weird feeling kind of to enforce that boundary because it's your home too. But I was like, that's like a non-negotiable around the kids and in the home. Sure. And you have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we entered this interim time.
Yeah.
And yes, yesterday you had to tell me, you showed me that text and I bent over and I was like,
I think you looked exhausted.
I am exhausted.
I know.
I am exhausted.
And that's wearing on both of us, but I don't want to be like ignorant to the fact that it's probably more exhausting on you. Although I'm so tired.
No, I know it's exhausting
really
for you.
I'm so tired of this cycle.
Yeah.
And so I hope that any of your listeners can hear that, if you are going through this, for me, I'm grateful that this is the healthiest I've ever gone through this process.
Because even when you relapsed and you stayed at home.
because the time before I disappeared.
Yeah.
I dipped out, I disappeared because I don't want to use around anybody.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Because I know it can get into harder things. It can get into harder things. And I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
No way will I bring that around people I love and not let them see me in this dark place and stuff like that. There's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of stuff. And it's a form of like self-punishment. Like some people cut, some people do stuff like that. But whenever I get in this dark place and I start using, it's to numb some pain. But then whenever I start trying to sober up and come out of it, I feel so gross and I feel so bad. And I feel like, see, this is who you've always been, or this is who you really are. This is who you're meant to be. Like that's the self-talk that goes on. You're worthless. You're not good enough. You can't beat this. And so I'll go get like bread, a loaf of bread and eat it, or pizza. I love pizza. I love good burgers. And I have celiac though. Mm-hmm. you know? And I can also trace what I'm going to go look at now is I have celiac, and Chris Murphy, who you know, that got the new smile, when he has celiac and his doctors say, my doctors have said too, it's not just an upset stomach, your second brain. It's not just nausea. It's not just a headache. It's not just joint pain. Like you're literally depleting your brain. And so if I look and track back this one too, whenever I started letting myself have gluten here and there, and I'm depleting
which is
my
honestly
brain,
almost the whole time we've been together. Like,
yeah, I've allowed myself to do it. There's these pills you can have and you can take them and it kind of softens the blow. And, you know, saying that there's a pill for it with even celiac, there's a pill for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I feel like addicts and probably a lot of culture, like we can be addicts to a lot of things, people, experiences, food, all sorts of stuff. Right. But for me, like I told Chris, we had a big heart to heart last night. I was able to help him. Now he's helping me. He's going to drive me to treatment. I said it and then I laughed. I go, Chris, I just wish there was a damn pill for this, just to cure this addiction. Just give me a pill for it. And then I smiled. I go, oh man, okay. I need to go examine those words.
Right.
I wish there was a pill to fix this.
I mean, I saw a guy the other day, he was wearing a hat. Oh, it was the guy that did an Austin Muscle Restoration, Brandon, who is great, by the way. And I'm going to keep going back. But anyway, he was wearing a hat when I got there that said, there is no magic pill. And I was like, I need that hat right now.
Wow.
I know.
There is no magic pill. So I've got to go do some deep work.
Yeah.
And I promise myself.
Yeah.
And I promise you, and the board of Fight for the Forgotten and everything else, I'm going into it healthy, in a healthy place, like looking forward to it. Like that's at least some progress. And I really want to get it.
If anybody is listening and wants to go to treatment, people are crazy supportive of it. Like they really, go, hey, good for you. Mm-hmm. Like, cause people need that and people are understanding about that. And it's a really good thing. Literally, if anyone told me, hey, I got to go to treatment, I've got a problem, I'd be like, do it. That is number one priority.
Yeah.
Your life.
For sure. And the first time I didn't tell a soul, except for the must know people.
Yeah, I knew that about you. Well, you told him months later or something. You told it on this show for the first time, or no?
Yeah, I think it was this show.
Aubrey's, this one. It
was yours because I did yours before.
Yeah,
about a year ago, about the first time going. And
yep.
Now I'm going to double dip. Hopefully get some really good stuff out of it. But yeah, I just really want to get it this time.
Good.
And what I was going to say was this time though, at least, I was able to open up, and I might have shared with too many people this time. I don't know, but not really. I've shared with Hot Pie here.
Yeah. Hot
Pie Media.
Yeah.
They know what I'm going to do. Fully supportive. I let On It, who are my sponsors and my coaches, helping me make a comeback. In the staff workout, I let some of the executive team know. I let the staff know after a workout. And what happened after the workout? I'm like, oh man, I just worked out with all these guys. I've been encouraged by them before. They know a lot of my story and journey. And now I'm about to tell them all. And when I told them all, guess what happened? I thought I was going to get some looks. You have this insecurity, right? And I'm like, I don't care. I just got to do it anyways. And they do care about me. And I need to tell Juan and some of these guys, my coach and John, and I do. There was a line to give me hugs. A line. And I was just tearing up. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
And I've told the board, I've told a lot of people, our partners with Fight for the Forgotten, as I take a big step back from Fight for the Forgotten.
Right. Well, you pushed back a little bit too.
Well, yeah, for sure. Pushed back.
You willingly took the step that you were asked to take back. Right?
Yeah. And I was being in there protecting the organization, and I'm protecting you. I'm not going to come back until I'm ready. So I don't care. I don't care if I do care if they say, come on, but I've got to come back when I'm ready.
Well,
so,
I mean, I don't know if this had an effect on you or not, but I think I told you during this too. I was like, I'm not going to be with somebody who has like private shit and then the public shit. And it's two different things. Like for me, those have to match up. That's why we're sitting here right now. Like I'm not going to have a life partner that doesn't live like fully open and honest.
Yeah. Can I speak to that real quick?
Yes.
One of the things that, and this isn't to suck up before I go to treatment.
Are you trying to suck up?
I'm really not.
Actually,
but I'm trying to be honest.
Okay.
I'm trying to be honest. Your unbridled honesty, like it's just loose and it's racing, it's charging straight ahead. That's what's so deeply inspired me. Over
loose
this
in a
last
good way
year.
or
in a great way.
Oh, okay, good.
Like what I mean is like, you are so honest that it like what you say, everything's got to match up. And I want to be that way too. The thing that I struggle with is this addiction, and I feel so much shame with it. Now I'm breaking that pattern of like, okay, now this time around this process, I can be open, honest right now where I'm at. And then coming out, I can continue that pace to where if there is any slip ups, not meaning relapse, but meaning like thoughts about it.
Yeah, that's the part that
like
you form a new pattern in.
Yeah.
Like if you have a thought, which I've told you that before, I'm like, just call me. But you're not in a pattern of doing that. You're still in the old one. So if you can find a new pattern, whenever you feel that urge, like get in a habit of telling someone probably.
Yeah. The thing that I know it does is it scares people if I say, because I've done it. And I think I might have told some people that they weren't the ones prepared to receive they don't have the tools and equipment and or they've been
people
wounded
just
so
take it really personally, I think.
Yeah. If I'm going through this right here and I don't want to do that over there. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, why would you? And I'm like, like, I'm sorry. And so,
but regardless of what they say,
that,
you have to do it anyway.
Yeah,
you can't control someone else's reaction, even my own, mine.
And I think you have great reactions most times and almost every time. And the thing that I mean is there are people and places and programs around helping people in recovery that they're there to listen. They're there to help. And sometimes it's it's not the responsibility of anyone else but you and a support system that you surround yourself with, but you have to take ownership of it. Meaning I can't put my sobriety on you at all. Zero.
Right.
And I'm grateful that I have such a supportive partner that we can talk about and be open and you'll be there, but it's got to be on me. And the thing that I love about, I didn't even know what recovery was until May 15th of 2020. But I read a quote somewhere and it says addiction is change. Addiction is giving up everything for one thing. And recovery is giving up one thing for everything. And I never heard that until these last maybe 10 or 20 days.
It's amazing. That's an amazing phrase.
Yeah.
Say.
So all I got to do is give up one thing. For me, it's not one thing. It's substances, because I was kind of more of they always ask, what's your drug of choice?
Right. What's available?
Yeah. I'm like, what is there?
I'm relighting this just a little bit because I like it.
Yeah.
I was just, knowing what I need in a relationship and that openness and that truth, honesty, not only with ourselves and with each other, which we weren't getting, but on a bigger scale too. And I think I wanted to also address just my side of things.
Yeah.
And when you said I seemed exhausted,
you were.
Yesterday when you said that, yeah, I have been, because like when you're in this position, it's all about the other person's life. Like it's been all about you, all about your everything. And it's like, I felt a little like I was losing myself and lost myself through this. Like it was just so much about the other person, you know, and you have to like guard against that. I think cause it can become very codependent where it is, and you're too involved in the other person's life. Like you have to find your own. So as you go into this, and I just want to address that, like, I feel like I'm going into my own recovery.
Yeah.
And getting back in touch with myself.
Yeah.
At this time. And so many times we like can say like, I don't have time to do all that. And suddenly like, I have time. I'm gifted with it in different ways right now. And I also took the liberty of just the holidays are coming and stuff and people are inviting me to Thanksgiving, whatever. And I'm saying no to everything. I'm just like, I don't think so. I don't think that's for me right now. And I've been really honest about what we're going through and just saying like, I'm in my own recovery right now. And I recognize that I have plenty of work to do to get like, I don't really want to say back to myself, but to grow from this and become better and strengthen my own relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel like that's part of what's been so exhausting. I've had a hard time putting my finger on it, but I think that's it. Whereas I love you and I love having you around, but you've got to go do this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like,
I know I have to.
And I'm just like, kind of like at the end of my rope where I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, so ready to just have time to breathe. Cause for me, it went from like relapse time, whatever. And that was weeks, and then straight to anger, and then figuring out, oh my God, if we end this, if I end this because of this, which I was ending it at that point, you know, how do I deal with that? The stress of that.
Yeah.
Then still anger flaring up. How do I deal with Overcome Show? And how do I, like, our lives are so intertwined. And so it was all about how it relates to you and figuring it out. And then you come back and you say, I'm going to go. And then it's tomorrow. It's next day. It's next day. You have all these things to do to wrap up your loose ends. And then, you know, it was just and I just didn't feel like I had a moment to really catch my breath.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that feels when I say that to you. I hope you understand.
It's good to hear.
I think our communication has been pretty good.
Oh, it's been really
I'm not
good.
saying it to hurt you at all, because I love you.
I know that.
And we have had really fun times even before you go.
Yeah, we have. We've had some great times.
Yes.
And the thing that I'm really striving for, is it okay if we share about, okay, so to address how you say it felt like it was all about me these last 10 days.
Longer than that for me.
Yeah. I mean, getting me there.
Yeah.
Getting me there to the right place.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. In the addiction, I did not, because, okay.
No, you were checked out.
I have something that I'm going to get to. It's a book, Dr. Amen. But before that, Brigham had told me something. He's a guest of your show. He's going to be a guest of my show. He's a great friend of ours. I look at him like a brother.
Yeah. Brigham Bueller, ways well. Mm-hmm.
Yep. He had said something to me, and I just want to ask your perspective, because this is good for me to hear. He started to say at first, he goes, it's like you go from being selfless to selfish. Then he goes, well, maybe selfish isn't the word, but it's oblivious. Just absolutely oblivious. And is it okay to, I mean, like, I don't know, can you riff off that? Is that just let me hear it so I can take that in to
what do you want me to say? What it was like when you were using?
No, I mean, well, I don't know, but just.
You were oblivious.
Oblivious.
100%. That's what I mean, I didn't say specifics on the show because I didn't know how it was going to play out. And that would have been last week's episode with Angie. And I talked about, you know, that my self-trust, like I knew something was off with you, but you were telling me everything's fine. And I was just so fucking confused, and I wasn't trusting myself. And so that moment I committed on the show to trusting myself. And that's when everything shifted. Yeah. And I was really wowed by like everything shifting, because I was like, I'm not going to listen to what he's telling me anymore. I know what I know.
Yeah.
And that's weird because I've known every time, and we tend to doubt ourselves. And so I wanted self-trust, and I got it.
Yeah, good.
I got a nice 2-week lesson in it.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know that the other times you knew, and
but you were already in oblivion. You were already in the oblivious state where it had taken over.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to be that person. Not at all. And the person that I do want to be is, you like really encouraged me the other day with Dr. Amon's book when you gave it to me. It talks about taming the hidden dragons. Your mind is always listening, or your brain is always listening. The only thing I want to say about that is, this is why I'm going in this time. This time I'm not going in because I have to. Although, yes, the reason I say I don't have to is because for a real deal addict, an alcoholic like me, I don't have to do anything except use.
Yeah. And
I could leave this, and I don't want to at all. I could leave, fight for the forgotten.
You're a really good talker. And they all are, and manipulator and all that.
Sure.
And I don't want to call you a manipulator, but when you really believed it before, you were like, no, I'm going to change. I'm going to do this,
Yeah, I did believe that.
I know.
That's that firm resolution. That's part of the cycle. But
hey, I had a thought.
Okay.
I have an idea.
The only thing I was going to say was...
Okay, say it, and then I have an idea.
It's not that I have to, I want to. I really do want to this time. And it's only the second time, but I want this.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing of growth for me, which growth, that's what Dr. Amon talked about, using my story as an example, was post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
And it's like 10% of people that experience PTSD or
I love that.
stress, 10% of people dig deep, find purpose, some sort of new way of life, a life of service or a new spiritual life, or these practices and habits of how to make the world better, taking their traumas and turning it into something positive.
Well, I think that goes for me too. I really do. I think that's applicable to anybody who's going through this on either end of it, because
I'm not the victim. You are.
I feel a little traumatized. Not going to lie.
For sure.
I'm a little traumatized.
I'm the one that was I was the one acting way out of line.
Well, our trust is, 2 weeks ago, I talked a lot about rebuilding trust with Andra, and she had some good points about that, about it can always be rebuilt, which I do believe.
Well, that's hopeful. I want to rebuild. This is the thing when you said that. I believe we can rebuild trust between ourselves. I'm also on a journey to rebuild trust with myself, because I have to be able to trust myself with this, because I failed, and let's reframe that. But anyways, I've fallen to this over and over and over again. I've dug that hole myself, and it's like, I want to throw those things away. I want to throw that shovel away, and I want to find these tools to somehow build a ladder and climb out of it and stay out of it.
Yeah. Well, I had a thought.
What's your thought? What's your idea?
When you were saying, that's not the person I want to be, the person I do want to be. What if instead of being either of those, you're just the person asking the question? You're the person that's recognizing who you want to be, rather than you're the person looking at, am I like this or am I like this? You're that awareness.
Yeah.
You're not either of them.
Well, I think you have a good point on that. Like being aware of, okay, I don't know. Sometimes I think, well, here's the good Justin, here's the bad Justin,
But if you're able to look at that, who is that that's looking at that?
Step back from it. And
it's your awareness. It's your spirit. It's your real
if I can love both sides of those and embrace them. The thing that the chairman of my board said, he's an incredible man. He said that one of the most life-changing things that he did for himself in his 30s, when he was just not getting much sleep and doing all these surgeries all through the day and working on like an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour sleep, and also performing on high level athletes and all that pressure and weight and stress of stuff. And his daughter also. Anyways, they did this stuff because it's been very helpful to them, called psychodrama. And I'd never heard of it. And it's basically and I know the inner child work and different stuff like that. But the way he had talked about it was for me, I can be, there's that bullied child that wants to numb pain. And he's like, now you go into that moment, you start to try to talk to that child as you are now, the man that you are now. And, or you talk as that child. I don't know the process, but you talk as that child, then you talk to that child.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, like through that awareness, you can take that step back and say, whenever these things start to crop up and start to present themselves, you can, like what Jared Padalecki said to me the other day, whenever that text message about when you're down, don't listen to yourself, talk to yourself.
Totally stole it. Oh. Put it on my TikTok.
Yeah. And when you're in a low place, don't listen to yourself, talk to yourself. Now in that moment, I'm connecting it with Dr. Higgs. I can go, hey, now it's time for me to talk to you and to step in and protect you. Like the protection you might not have had at school or home or whatever it is. That's like, you know what? Now I'm a 34-year-old man and I can step in and protect. I don't have to be that way. That young, hurt, wounded dragon, as Dr. Amen said, that doesn't control me. I tame that dragon and I step in and protect that young bullied child. So that's what I'm hoping to really develop and meditate on and journal about, and really talk to some professionals who this is their vocation and they got into it for a reason because they want to help people. And they want to help people specifically with this. And if that's their calling, then I better go in there like a sponge, ready to learn. So anyway, sorry to ramble.
You're not rambling. I was kind of thinking how I can apply it to my own life, and like, what that looks like as I look at the next month and a half or however long it's going to be,
30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is. But I think on the other side of this,
post-traumatic growth.
Post-traumatic growth.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think so too. Let's address really quick too, like how we've communicated through this.
Sure.
Like we managed not to say mean things or get really mad at each other.
Thank
and
goodness.
To stay pretty balanced. And that takes work on both our parts. I do believe.
Chris told me something last night and I wanted to apply it back to us. We'll get there. But from my first experience and how they would talk down at you and cuss at you and all that other stuff. When I told him, I go, do you think that was helpful for me? Like I'm asking genuinely because at sometimes I wanted it, felt like I needed it. And other times I felt like, is this helping or hurting? And he goes, bro, I'm one of you. He goes, nobody is going to be able to say anything as mean to you as you have already said to yourself. And so he said, basically like, you're not a dog. You're not a dog that needs to have its face shoved in shit. And I was like, wow. And he goes, dogs don't even need that, bro. And he's like, so like go in there with a new perspective of like this self-talk, And so I guess coming back to us, thank God, thank goodness, thank you, Amy.
Well,
and I'm even
that's
thankful for myself.
One thing I don't do. I don't say things I can't take back.
Yeah.
I've been really good about that. Through both the ending of my marriages, they literally have nothing that I've written, like nothing mean that I've said.
And that's
I just don't do it.
To your character, and it's taught me a lot.
It's very hard to do.
It's very hard to do. And it's hard whenever you get into some sort of codependent relationship or enmeshment.
We feed in that.
Enmeshment between families. Like married, I've seen a lot of married couples, and it's like when the wife gets mad at the husband, she goes and she gives reinforcements with,
and they all talk shit.
Yeah, and the whole family and friends all talking shit about the husband, or vice versa, and that's just not healthy. Like instead of doing that, like let's look at the real issue and what's going on, the action. And let's find a solution to the problem.
To that too, I did talk to some of my friends and my sister and stuff, but I didn't ask advice really. I really did work on that self-trust enough to where I was like, I'm going to know what to do. And so that's been its own exercise through this too. And just like sitting with it and being able to go, okay, well, what do I really feel here? And I mean, I feel like I want to stay with you. I want to give it a chance. I want to, I mean, if you had still been, using, I wouldn't have. I was going to stick with the boundary of that's a non-negotiable.
Right.
And so I recognize that you need treatment. So I think that's part of where this exhaustion came from too, is that like, go get it done already.
Sure.
And so, but I didn't go like talk trash and dwell on it in this like negative way. And that takes work too, because it's at your top of your mind. And I have friends who do it and they'll like rehash shit. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, that's not healthy and it's not productive. So what are you going to do about it? You've seen this now. So what are you going to do? Yeah.
Well, you're reminding me like,
I decided to figure it out myself.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, bringing up the past and just living in that, I mean, that's hard because so for an addict, and I'll call it, yes, there's patterns and you got to learn from them. But an addict is someone that a lot of times most of us can put ourselves in the same boat where it's you have fear or anxiety of the future and you have a ton of regret and shame and guilt and condemnation about the past. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thankful that part of your process in our communication was like focusing on the task at hand. Although it was tiring, the task at hand is getting there and getting some things done and being healthy until I get there, not using, putting that shit down.
Yeah, but I detached from
it. You detaching so I could do it. So I could.
I'm not fucking doing it for you, right?
I know you're not.
Yeah.
And that would be.
I'm not saying that for you. I'm saying it for everybody.
Exactly. But I appreciate that about you. Because if it was up to you to get me sober, I wouldn't get sober.
And it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
That's a vicious cycle. I don't want to take you on that road, or I don't want to be on that road either. Mm-mm. So it's definitely been a learning process.
Well, but you're being so open about it. Even just the difference you said about your first time going in and this time, look, you're releasing podcasts about it. You're telling people up front. I mean, that's hugely different.
Yeah.
And it's creating an accountability system for you, because now all these people know, all right, this is something he's still dealing with and, he needs support and you're just more accountable. And that was kind of why I talked to my friends. I didn't do it to get their opinion. Sure. I created some accountability around it because for myself, for my own boundaries, for, my own kids and home and everything. And people have stayed on top of it. My sister texts me and she's like, is he there yet? And I was like, no. But no,
I'm going.
I had to answer without feeling like I was making excuses for you or covering for you, because that is such a codependent thing that I have done so many times in the past in an old relationship with someone who had an addiction. Is that, and I've done it with you. I've done it to where I lied to people. It's essentially lying. It's making things sound better than they are and being like, oh, no, it's like this, no, you just got to point blank say it and own the truth. And that's challenging, but I did it, I did do it. And I just told her the flat truth because I worry about what my sister thinks of me and I don't want her to think I'm an idiot. Yeah. And so, that part was trickier.
It's hard for me too. I worry about what your sister thinks about me. I was supposed to meet her.
I know. Well, she was here on the anger day.
And I disappeared. And so, God.
It's okay, honey.
I know. I'm trying to find the balance here where it's like, I want to be brutally open, honest, real, transparent, all that stuff. And I wanted to get some of these podcasts done instead of keeping it in the dark, instead of hiding it, instead of not being real with myself and with others, and to increase that accountability. And so, like what you said, I just repeated what you said, but when I talk to the place that I'm going and they talk to me about what their vision statement is, and it was basically helping those who are struggling in alcohol and addiction and substance abuse to find their purpose. And after that, after helping them find that, they will be able to help others find their purpose. And so when I talked to Dr. Amen, which we did a live therapy session on my show, I asked him, could we record it? Could we record it? And he's like, do you think that's going to be helpful for you and helpful for others? And he goes, if you do, then let's do it. It's going to help you be part of your process, be therapeutic, and it's letting some people in behind the curtains and to see what's going on so that when they're in that situation, it can help them. He's like, I'm all for it. So that's been kind of my guiding light in these last 10 days is this helping me and will it potentially help others? And first and foremost, I got to help me because I'll be no help to others if it doesn't help me right now because I'm in a crisis mode.
Honestly, it's being honest about it is just a habit. And you just get in a habit of it and like it starts to feel really good. The more honest and open I've gotten in my life, and I check myself with the littlest things, but like the text message to my sister, that one's maybe bigger, but even just anything, I check all of a sudden, wait, am I making this sound a little different than the reality, than the truth about it? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm not telling this person the truth, why I don't want to go to something or why I'm not showing up or why whatever it is. And so you just tell the truth and you know what? People can handle it.
Sure. Can I get honest about why I think this time was hard to get honest?
You can get honest about whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to get honest about why it was hard to be honest, at least. And I don't even think, yes, it was hard to be honest with you, with Hot Pie right now. It's kind of uncomfortable. I got sweat in my armpits.
Really?
A little bit, but
I was thinking, this is great.
This is great. This is great. But at the same time, like I'm the addict. And I think, I had a lot of strides and made a lot of progress, and that's not to pat myself on the back, but the thing that made it hard was I went on the world's largest podcast and I shared about my story of recovery. Mm-hmm. And through that, someone's life was saved. A good friend of mine that was at our home last night. Mm-hmm. Not saved, but he says that. Yeah. I didn't save him, but that timing, whatever it was, like God's intervention on his behalf. There's been a docuseries and a documentary being made, right, about my life story and journey. And like, I'm like, oh no, we're all back here again. Mm-hmm. What are those people going to think? Or what is this person that I love and admire and look up to that supported me going to think? Or what is Chris going to think whenever I walked the Brooklyn Bridge with him 9 months after he almost jumped off of it? Mm-hmm. And I'm there with him, we're celebrating, and I'm looking him in the eyes. I'm saying, Chris, look at me, brother. Look at me, please. I've attempted suicide twice in my life. I've also gone to rehab. Look at me. You've got a brand new smile. You've gotten, it's worth $60,000 minimum, probably $100,000. Look, it's a gift. But brother, you're the gift. If you ever relapse, if you stumble, please be honest right away. Be honest before it. Be honest right away. Look at me. Look at me.
See, all the tools.
And I'm telling them, don't die. Mm-hmm. Don't die from this. I've lost too many people this year. Don't die from this.
Right.
Don't jump and don't let the drugs kill you. Look at me, please. I'm telling this. I don't know if it was on the camera. I'm like, we had a real heart to heart where I'm like, please, brother.
Yeah.
Don't die from this. And then I find myself back in the same hole and he's doing great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah. Oh, I was too.
Really? Oh, yeah. But your really is strong and I value it so much. But my really was just like a kick in the groin. And then while I was down, a kick in the gut. And then while I'm trying to catch my breath, a kick in the face. And like, I can't continue this way. I won't. So that's a good thing. But I think that's why it was so hard was like, man, why am I back here? And of course, I'm an addict. I'm a drug
Yeah,
addict.
but that's what you got to figure out.
Yeah. Well, they say the standard answer is because it's my solution. And people are like, no, it's your problem. People like you looking from the outside in, it's your problem. But for me, it's my solution.
Yeah, it's your solution. So what is the problem?
Right. Right. So that's what I got to get to.
Good. I'm glad.
And I'm looking forward to it. I think we've talked off camera. I think that there's been something eating at me with like, I'll blanket it with saying either a close friend or a very close family member or something like that I've been avoiding quite a bit. And it's a really hard situation for me, at least. And also a lot of that stuff from childhood. And so, I'm just going to have to go in there and ask, is it distance? Is it closeness? Is it boundaries? What is it that can help me find peace with whatever decision I'm supposed to make instead of avoiding making that decision?
Yeah.
Because I got to make it. I got to either make it to continue or to cut off completely or to whatever. Like I got to figure that out.
Yep. You do.
Because before these relapses, like, that was eating at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a good thing we did this podcast because I haven't really framed it in a way that, oh, this is one thing I absolutely need to take in there. And so that just kind of, maybe we mentioned it, but yeah, that's.
Well, I like framing it like that. Like this is my solution. So what is the problem? Like I can look at things of my own as that, like, oh, here's how I'm coping.
Yes.
And so what am I coping with?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get to whatever that is. And those are uncomfortable places to be sometimes, usually, which is why we're finding solutions and coping.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
The thing I wanted to say, another thing is if someone's listening to this that does struggle with addiction, or maybe you love someone that's in it, or you lost someone, or maybe you're an employer and you don't know what to do whenever something like this happens. One of the things we are going to do with Fight for the Forgotten is like, we're setting up some policies, procedures where if this thing ever happens again, am I just completely out forever? Or is there a process? Is there something to do? But we're getting there. And this place will have those kinds of things to give us as tools and resources to protect me and to protect the organization, things like that. But I think one thing, well, let me just ask you the question and then I'll give you two perspectives. And it's something I've been wrestling with, trying to figure it out.
All right.
Do you believe in triggers?
Not really.
Not really. That's good. Tell me why.
I did a TikTok on this the other day, honey.
Okay, well, tell me. Sorry, I'm not
I
one
said
of
triggers.
your big fans on TikTok. I only post once.
I know. I said that triggers don't really exist. They are simply indicators of things that we really need to explore. Like those are the spaces where we either need healing or we just need to look more closely.
Yeah.
And those are the things. Because I've just noticed in my own life, if I even feel jealous of something or whatever it is, those are the spots that I need to explore more fully and understand why. It's more of just a indicator showing me something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
But then again, I suppose there are people who have had legitimate, very traumatic experiences. And if they hear about something, it could trigger something for them. But then I don't know. Then they still need to work on that healing. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. So you're not really, it's kind of faux pas to say you're in AA and stuff like that. You're supposed to be anonymous. But in those meetings that I've gone to and experienced and in the material that I've read, it basically says there aren't triggers, that that's just an excuse to use. That if you basically, they say the actual material, the big book says there are no triggers. It doesn't say there are no triggers. Let me say what it says. It says basically like, if you're blaming other people things, you're not taking ownership of it. Basically, you could move to Greenland. You could be on a snow cap, and then all of a sudden an Eskimo comes by in a being pulled by dogs and sled dogs. And then he has a bottle of whiskey and it's his fault that you relapsed.
Mm-hmm.
It's his fault that you drank again. And
it is placing blame outside yourself or placing something outside yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So I agree with that. And so I don't ever want to say a trigger this kind of stuff. But then, Dr. Amon, I don't know if it was on the show or when I talked to him, he's like, man, there's some stuff like your brain scan shows it. I can show you the ring of fire. There's the PTSD. And so there's things from my past or whatever that it was a trigger. So what do I do? How do I cut that stuff? How do I cut that tie or heal and recognize it and have that awareness and all those things that, and I would like to ask him that question on triggers. So I'll do that next time I have a session with him where I'm like,
do it.
I want to know how to tame the hidden dragons and identify these quote unquote triggers. But the reason is because there's been people that I've seen in recovery that live very defeated lives. And I've tried to say, I'm not going to do that. And when I say defeated, what do I mean? They can't go to Thanksgiving with grandma because, and I don't mean to judge them. What I mean is it's not an empowered life. It's almost like a disempowered life.
Yeah, but
now
that's been a bit of your downfall with this.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm recognizing it. But I can't not go to Thanksgiving because grandma's going to have a glass of wine. I cannot not go to Christmas because Joe blew this or that, right? And so there's been these things like people going in and they're like, I can't go do this. I can't go to the grocery store. I can't go to
the grocery store because
they sell wine.
People don't go to the grocery store?
People in recovery will do the wildest things. Once they lose their solution, they take out the substance.
Wow.
Now all of a sudden they go way too far to the other side and they go, I have to fill up with gas outside. And man, sometimes I have to call somebody because it's right inside there. There's the beer.
Oh, it's just too tempting.
It's just too tempting because look, there's so many people that, and I'm really not judging them because I've been here. But there's been some people that have said,
don't judge because you'll learn a fucking lesson.
I know. But they come to the T, right? A crossroad. And they know they're supposed to go right on their way home after work, but left is to the liquor store. And they're telling themselves, turn right, turn right, turn right, turn right. And they're telling themselves, they're saying it, and all of a sudden the wheel starts going left.
I think you can identify with that.
Yes, I can identify with it. So I'm really not judging. I just want to live a free life. Does that make sense? I want to live free.
It's like that
empowered
analogy that I read you. I read you the analogy and
asking it is,
I have, and asking it is given from Abraham Hicks. And it's, they said,
the recipe.
They said you're in a kitchen with all the ingredients in the entire world.
Yes.
Some of them will not suit your recipe.
Yeah.
The pie that is your life. So you only choose, you have control to pick the ingredients that go into your pie.
What's crazy is
everything exists. You don't banish those other items from the kitchen. They are just there. And so it doesn't matter. They're there. That's okay. It doesn't even affect you.
Yeah.
You just make your pie.
Yeah. I think when you read me that, thinking back to it, and I was like, oh, wow. Whenever I'm using all these other substances, it's like these substances, it's like I'm putting a dish together with lime juice, pepper, and cinnamon. And I was like, that probably, won't turn out very good. And I think I just throw other recipes in there or whatever, but I'm just like, oh, what am I doing to myself? Stop it.
Yeah. Because those things are always going to exist.
Oh yeah.
So you have to just be able to live your life, not choosing it.
For sure.
Just what are you choosing?
Got to find true, real deal, tangible, practical, sustainable solution to this, or just help and love.
Or find out what the real problem was.
Right. Healing.
All along.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything we missed? Anything?
There's two sides of it.
Two sides of what?
Of what's been wrong all along. It's not just one thing. It won't be. There's two things. There's traumas, but there's also biology. There is an addict mind. You can see it on brain scans. They can study it. They can all that other stuff. So Man, it's kind of like you're playing Russian roulette the first time you don't know. If I go back, I don't know if I ever shared this story with you. If I go back to the first time I ever drank, I was an addict and alcoholic. First time.
Mm-hmm.
First time. It wasn't progressive. Sometimes it's progressive for other people, but for me, it was full blown. I thought I had 30 shots the first time I drank.
Wow.
But it was 15. The parents and other people at the, they filled a vodka bottle with water so I wouldn't die of alcohol poisoning. Right. So, at this party, and I waited until I won a national championship in wrestling. I didn't reward myself after a state championship, not after 10 of them, or after being All-American. I waited to a national champion. But then it was like, oh, it's time. It's time. And maybe I could go back to childhood and see what did I like that changed what did I like that changed the way that I felt? Well, it became food. That's why I was such a heavyset kid.
Mm-hmm.
It was food before it was substances. It was sugar. Anyways, I know your episodes are normally shorter, so I hope that people can hear that we have hope and that there's hope for them, no matter where they are, no matter where your friend is. And I know that I've been in a very hopeless state of mind, body with this disease of addiction, but I'm ready to break free from it. I'm ready to find the cure, and it's not a magic pill.
Yeah.
It's not. It's some deep work. That's what you're all about.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that you're alongside me.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. Alongside me is, an interesting term to use. Like
Sure.
Who's alongside who? And, it's just
I know you wish
interesting.
me the best. Can you look at me?
Of course I do. Of course I do.
You look at me. I know that if this cycle doesn't stop, that this will stop.
Yeah.
But I know that you hope and wish, and you've always done the best for me. And so I'm really grateful.
I'm doing the best for me.
I know you do the best for you,
Mm-hmm.
but in you being able to do the best for you, you've always done the best for me. That's been the byproduct.
Good.
And I'm grateful to be a recipient of that. And so my goal is to get better so that this doesn't stop forever. Right?
Right. Right.
Right. I love you.
I love you too. Anything we missed?
I'm going to miss you.
I'm going to miss you too. But I need this time.
Oh, of course. And you're going to have it.
And
Even when I get out, whatever you need.
I hope that anybody listening, whatever part you're in on something like this, just honor what you need. Yeah. And that's been a real road for me. And that's been very challenging in the last couple of weeks. So I am excited to really honor myself and be able to do that while you're doing that too. Because the path to healing, means that we are whole in ourselves. Like the math thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, maybe we can end there.
Yeah. What was that? You started to tell me and I said, wait, save it.
The math. I think me coming into the relationship, I've been, especially in addiction, I'm half or a fraction of who I'm supposed to be. Right. And I think oftentimes in codependent relationships, people bring half of themselves hoping that the other is their better half or that will complete them. That two people come together will be one.
People are looking for someone else and then not feeling whole within themselves.
Right.
Like, I need this.
Two people coming together is an addition. It's multiplication. And so if you think 0.5 times 0.5, it's not 1. It's actually even less. It's 0.25.
Okay. So two people coming together is not addition. It's multiplication. Why? Because
if you come together half and you bring all that toxic stuff, you haven't done your self-work, your deep work, then you are going to expect the other person. Yeah, it's expanding. We're multiplying.
Ooh, the half is expanding.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
I
And
like
so-
that. It's not expanding to get more. It's expanding to get bigger as just a non-whole.
You love black holes and all that science stuff. But I really think that I'm going there to get whole so I can bring all of me to this relationship, not half of me expecting you to fulfill the other half. That gaping hole or whatever it is, like that's not your job. That's my job to heal that.
Yeah.
And so anyways,
And mine too.
the thing that I see in you is that you are more whole and complete than I am. And so I'm trying to catch up and get better and just do it for me. But I want to bring all of me so that it can be that 1 × 1 = 1, like
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So we can stay complete and not be less than.
Yeah.
Because whenever you're in those toxic cycles and I bring those to you and they dim your shine.
Don't dull my sparkle, asshole.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you a name.
I know you're
I
not.
would
You've
not.
never called me a name.
Nope, I haven't.
You never say things you can't take back.
Mm-mm.
And
No, I don't.
I adore that about you.
Mm. That's a good thing. You don't do it either.
Thanks.
And that's good. And so I think that we can leave this and say, like, communication with everybody in your life. Be upfront. We told the kids the truth. And, we worked on communicating with ourselves and with them as upfront as we could. And I just want to encourage people to be honest, because even as hard as it is with what you're saying about all the stuff, you were very public facing with your story. And now you have to go back on that a little bit and backtrack and say, oh, here I am.
Yep.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, at the end of the day, people don't really care. They're worried about themselves.
Yeah.
And so, you just
feel like you're going to wear people out.
Yeah. And you put a lot of pressure on yourself and all that. But
hopeless to hopeful, back to hopeless. We'll get back to hopeful.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't think being honest and true and caring wears people out. I really don't.
Well, that's good then.
I really don't.
It never wears me out when you do it. It inspires me.
Good.
It encourages me.
Yeah, it is inspiring. It is inspiring. So just takes daily work. I want to share that one thing. When that Friday morning that I was angry, before I got angry, you said, I know I need to snap out of it. And I said to you, do you remember this?
Tell me.
You said, I need to snap out of this. And I said, this isn't something that you snap out of. Nobody does.
Yeah.
It takes daily grind of work.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing it. You don't just have a magic pill. You don't just snap out of it. You have to do daily work. You have to check in every single day.
Yeah.
You have to take stock of things every day. You have to build habits that serve you. Because I read a quote yesterday that said, we don't rise to our goals, we fall to our systems. And you do. So if you don't have good systems that you're building every day, well, then there you are. So anyway, I told you don't snap out of it. And we're all just here grinding away, trying to do it. And so for anyone to think that you just magically snap out of it, you don't.
It's crazy.
And that is why we're here on this show, building these habits and doing this.
Yeah. It can be kind of delusional to think you just snap out of it. So can I tell you something?
It would be nice.
It would be nice. It'd be great. But
and it's a phrase. Snap out of it as if it's a thing.
You're so smart. You're so smart. You have such a good heart.
Keep talking.
You got such a good heart. And I think it's hot.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's hot how smart you are and you're
Thank you.
compassionate, sweetheart.
Well, thank you.
Your heart's hot. Your heart hot.
I'm glad you
Is that a
think
word?
so, because you don't see me all the time like this. You saw me this morning with a pimple on my face and no makeup, and
I've never
a
seen
mess.
you just incredibly beautiful and so badass.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. And thanks for doing this today. I'm glad we talked about it. And I want to encourage people to go on your show, listen to the Overcome podcast, because you've got some weeks of your solo cast that tells more about this relapse and what you're doing. And then you've got the Dr. Amen episode.
Yeah.
You've got some cool stuff going on. Brigham
Brigham Bueller
and
then
your
Jeff
sponsor,
Meadows.
Jeff Meadows. And
Yep.
that's a 2-part episode. And
It
then
is. It's
I will
his
be guest
story,
hosting
and then
one.
It's part of mine.
Which I don't know what we'll run on that one. Maybe this. So,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
you know,
That should be really
maybe
good.
so. I think that might be more appropriate with everything that's going on. So,
Okay.
anyway, I would just encourage people to go check out Overcome, because it's still going to be bringing inspiring stuff.
It will be. And I'm grateful, very, very, very grateful that there will be stuff coming out. I mean, for Hot Pie to have our back. Thank you, Hot Pie. We're in the studio right now.
Big time.
For you to have my back for.
And they were
Brigham
understanding to me.
Oh, Drew Satsung, who was a guest on my show, guest on your show.
Yeah.
He's taking a show that I did with him on his show, and he's going to do
Aaron
the
Alexander
intro, Aaron Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do an intro that's very heartfelt about, who they know me to be, but what they've seen.
Yeah.
What they've seen. And Drew's going to talk about how I had to call him. I had to call him because I didn't want to call you.
Right.
And you were doing a podcast. I didn't want to be a burden to that. And I had to own it. And so I called Brigham first. Then I called Drew Satsung, Drew McManus. And he FaceTimed me right away after texting him from the Grand Canyon with a cowboy hat on hiking.
Yeah.
And said, go get that stash. Go get that shit. Let's flush it. Because I didn't want it in the house. I had it outside the house. It dawned on me. I got to get rid of it.
Yeah. You were smart to call him, not me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the right thing. No, it's okay. It's okay. You made the right call. I mean, I still could have handled it, but it was a lot for me at that point.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was a lot when I told you about it.
yeah, it really was. It was. It took me a full 24 hours. So anyway, well, thank you. Thanks for coming on today. I love you too.
Thanks, babe.
Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to Justin for coming in. I was going to do a solo cast today, and he didn't leave last night. Like, we talked about it, and I was like, well, do you want to just come in and get really honest? And he was like, yeah. So he did. And we did. And I'm glad. I like just bearing it all. And you know what? When I say bear it all, I don't mean every single detail. And neither does he. Like, we mean just sharing from an honest place. And not, you don't have to share every detail, because there's things that we've kept personal, and that's totally okay. But it's still about being on the up with who you are and what you're really going through and what's really happening, and trusting that everything's working out in your favor. Whew, I can't believe I just said that. Let that be our affirmation today. Everything is working out in my favor. That's a big old leap of trust, isn't it, today? But you know what? It is. And I'm going to take that leap of trust that it is. It's all going to be okay, and everything's working out in your favor. Write it on a Post-it note. That's what I do. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram. I'm at The Magic Babe on TikTok. I am at Real Amy Edwards on Instagram. And we have a Facebook page for the show, The Amy Edwards Show. You can watch it on YouTube as well. Share with a friend, all that good stuff. Reach out to me too. If you have any questions, if something popped up and you're like, how's she handling sex? How's she handling all these other things? Ask, because I will answer those 100%. And I love to hear from anybody. So also, write a review if something spoke to you, or if you know somebody who's going through addiction or has a partner who is. This could be helpful to them. So please share, because I just think that those are really important. When we feel a call in our heart to somebody, those are the moments that act on it. Your intuition is telling you something important. I love you so much. Let me see. Is there anything else? Big thanks to our team here at Hot Pie. They've been supportive, not only with our shows, but through this whole thing. I'm really, really grateful. So thank you to Alyssa, who is working our camera and board today. And thanks again to our guest, Justin Wren. And thank you to you for being here. I love you so much. And I am just wishing you a more rocking life all the time. More love, health, wealth, joy, abundance, honesty, a light. And, it's all part of it. All the dark stuff helps us see that light and feel that light, and all the good stuff too. So till we meet again, till next time. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this show, please rate and review. It totally matters. And I encourage you to spread the love too and share this episode with a friend if you feel called.